Hello, ladies and gents. How are we? We good? So, Book of Boba Fett. You looking forward to it?
I am.
I'm looking forward to it. More so looking forward to it now that we heard that the Book of Boba Fett's trailers only featured footage from the first few minutes. First half of the first episode. Confirmed by the director himself. So, let's take a look. This was actually in a big interview with THR, but this article just has, like the highlights of it, basically. I think this is a great idea. Like, how bloody cool is that? So, we're now just a few weeks away from the premiere of the Book of Boba Fett, and fans are still mostly in the dark when it comes to the plot details. Yeah, I don't think there's not actually been any leaks for this film, if I remember right. It's been pretty decent. So we hear this, we know the basic premise. Fett and Fennec arrive on Tatooine to take over Jabba the Hutt's crime syndicate and attempt to rule the desert planet's underworld through honor, not fear. Which a lot of people ripped on Fett for doing that in the trailer. The first trailer, people were like, "Oh, that's sad." They're laming out. He's just, he's going to be a bit of a pansy now. All this kind of stuff, and I agree. Like, to a certain degree, I do agree that it's off base for what we know Boba Fett to be. Also, side note, really important, Jasper cameo. He's here. Yes, that's right. But also, it's important for characters to develop and evolve. And, you could definitely have a series of Boba Fett just slashing and, smashing his way through stuff. But maybe the whole point of ruling the planet's underworld through honor, also equates to a whole bunch of slashing anyway. Could still be. A lot of the stuff that made Boba Fett so big and prominent in people's minds was all the expanded media stuff. It was never really... his actual media appearances, he turned up and killed himself, basically. So, well, he obviously didn't kill himself, but you get my point. So it'll be interesting to see how this moves forward anyway. But it says further, ladies and gents... the trailers haven't really given us much more to go on, and the director showrunner Robert Rodriguez has now suggested that this is very much by design. So I like this. This is good. Which is a miracle, because The Mandalorian had so many bloody leaks. Quite a few leaks. And all the movies have leaks as well, but they've kept this one well under wraps. I don't understand how, because, again, the movies get leaks left, right and centre. During an interview with THR, the Sin City filmmaker reveals that the teasers have been so vague because the marketing team couldn't use any shots from the second half of the first episode for fear of spoiling something. So I guess the take home from that is expect massive spoilers at the end of the first episode, basically. So that's confirmed. And he said this is a direct quote: "We can't use the second half of the first episode because it gives so much away. Things turn up you don't expect. You see things we couldn't believe we got to do. Every episode has big surprises." Now, I do think that this article has slightly misphrased it, because they say categorically, the Book of Boba Fett trailers only featured footage from the first few minutes to avoid spoilers. That doesn't seem completely right based on the quote anyway. I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem right based on the quote. And the Hollywood Reporter interview we'll take a look at directly just to get a better picture of it. So he says even Disney didn't know we were going to drop it like that, in terms of how things were kind of released and such. Now, moving on to exactly what was stated, because these interviews are done so poorly when it comes to THR, hence why I like to use articles that have snippets. So he says this: "I usually avoid premiere properties. You'll never be able to please everybody. It's a losing game," Rodriguez says. And he does. He went with Alita, though. That's pretty good. "I'd rather go do something I've created so nobody can say, hey, that's wrong, because I created it, so it can be anything I want it to be. I love that freedom." That changed with Boba, because it was a character that was always underserved, and it was a character way more popular than he should have been. I agree. Based on his limited screen time, so it's almost like starting with an original character. You can kind of do anything you want, so long as you make him cool and don't make him a buffoon, which he was in the screen time, because he killed himself. Didn't kill himself, but you get my point. Now, anyway, Filoni, who headed the acclaimed The Clone Wars animated series, has a theory as to why fans have remained fascinated with Fett despite him only having 6 minutes of screen time in the original trilogy. I think the design of the costume, especially the helmet, is iconic. The details from the dent on of the crown of the helmet, the emblem, scuff marks, cloak and braids all spoke of a greater story and adventure that the character had experienced. I think it was always fun to imagine what those adventures were. Yeah, people just fill in the blanks. Now here we go, right? So Filoni drops in and says, Boba gives us direct connection to the Star Wars saga since he was involved in that story. This creates a nice crossover point for both classic characters and new characters. Much of The Mandalorian was new or had not been seen on screen. Though through Boba Fett, we can weave some of those characters and tales together using characters we know but don't know a lot about. So expect a lot of characters from the original trilogy coming in. Which, that's positive. That is actually positive. Rodriguez jumped in and added that the character specifically invites a whole world from the underworld in with him. So we're going to see a lot of underworld characters, which I like. I'm looking forward to. Things turn up you don't expect. You see things we couldn't believe we got to do. Every episode has big surprises, aka big spoilers, which is good. That's absolutely fantastic. The Book of Boba Fett is unusual for a franchise action series in that it stars a 60-year-old and a 58-year-old. And Rodriguez says, you never feel like they're older cast. They're so youthful and energized. Tamura and I worked out together. He really is Boba Fett. And for when I would design whole sequences just to end on her and the look she would give Boba because she's so badass. Tamura knows this is his moment and he knows this is her moment. And when you get actors like that, they go for it and it's palpable. So that's nice. That sounds really, really good. This just adds to my excitement, quite frankly. Tem brings the intensity and sense of weathered experience that a well-travelled bounty hunter needs while maintaining a sense of fun and adventure. He had more dialogue than Fett has ever had to deliver, and it's also a very physical role, and Tem was there for it, training and enduring a lot of the action. Good. Wen's character was introduced in the first season of Mandalorian, and then was seemingly killed off. There was no seemingly, she says with a laugh. It was very clear at the time, which it was, absolutely. So she obviously came back. Now, so we move down further. It's interesting. So we get this, right? Rodriguez also points out that Fett's scant prior screen time leaves a lot of wiggle room for the, invention. The filmmakers seized onto King Conan and Godfather as specific inspiration. Interesting. Boba bites off more than he can chew, and we definitely do not make it easy for him. It's easy to sit on the throne, it's not easy to stay on it. So, so what's it like for a bounty hunter to have to suddenly become a leader? Where's the push and pull in that? What is he trying to become? What we really go in the depth of that character. That sounds great. That is really promising. Really, really, really promising. There's not an awful lot else in here, to be fair. Talking about Jedis and stuff like that. Nothing specific in terms of the actual movie itself. Series itself, sorry. So there you go. I mean, like, it sounds great. I think this all sounds really, really good. Yeah, I think this sounds great. What do you guys think? I think it sounds positive. Now, we know Grogu is supposed to show up. Din Djarin, Pedro Pascal, is supposed to show up for a cameo as well. It'd be interesting to see if Grogu shows up, if Mark Hamill cameo again, and if they, if it leads to a fight. It does look like it's going to sort of flash forward and flash backwards in time, to elements of the original saga. Going to flesh out his backstory. Confirmed it's going to explore how we got out of the Sarlacc pit, which I think is great. It's much needed. It's what people want. But the sort of danger of exploring that, is it going to be as badass as what people had in their mind? Maybe, maybe not. But it is a danger. So let me know what you guys think. Are you looking forward to this? Let me know down below. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Follow me over on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. H Reviews. Links in the description box. Thanks so much. Take care.